Welcome. It's a real joy to have you here for this explainer. Today we're exploring a true masterpiece of philosophical literature, Hermann Hesse's Siddhartha. But, we're not just looking at the story itself. We're actually going to examine a very specific, meticulously crafted, open-source educational edition of the text, edited by Lee Archie and John G. Archie. This edition is designed not just to be read, it's meant to be deeply studied and really experienced.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Just listen to this quote for a moment because it perfectly captures the absolute essence of our protagonist's journey. It had to be found, the pristine source in one's own self. It had to be possessed. Everything else was searching, was a detour, was getting lost. You see, Siddhartha's journey is completely defined by this relentless, uncompromising search for the ultimate truth. He realizes early on that literally everything else, every ritual, every distraction, is merely a detour. And through the structured lens of this academic edition, we're going to trace exactly how he navigates these detours.
So here's our agenda for this explainer. First, we'll look at the open source edition itself. Second, leaving the Brahmin life. Third, life with the Samanas. Fourth, meeting Gautama Buddha. Fifth, the limits of teaching. And finally, the pursuit of wisdom.
Section 1. The Open Source Edition.
Now, before we can truly understand the spiritual journey, we've got to understand the vehicle that's actually delivering it to us. What makes this specific version of Siddhartha so remarkable is its foundational commitment to accessibility. It's built right upon Michael Pollan's Project Gutenberg ebook, and it's licensed under the GFDL. By utilizing open-source DocBook, this text exists in a totally presentation-neutral form. So what does that actually mean for students? Well, it means this very same file can be seamlessly published on the web, printed out, processed into audio files, or even translated into Braille. It's incredibly adaptable. Furthermore, the editors have transformed a classic narrative into a rigorous educational tool. They've added historical images, a comprehensive index, and probing study questions at the beginning and end of every single chapter.
And to truly engage with this text, the editors demand academic rigor. Take a look at these recommended references provided in the book's foreword. The editors are actively encouraging you to step outside the narrative itself and consult authoritative sources, like the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy or the Dictionary of the History of Ideas. They really want us to connect Hesse's fiction to the broader, ancient intellectual traditions that it draws from. It's like a giant puzzle they want you to piece together.
Section 2. Leaving the Brahmin life. Let's move to and see how this academic structure builds into the narrative itself. We begin right at the inciting incident of Siddhartha's profound discontent. Now, Siddhartha is born into the highly structured, very privileged life of a Brahmin son. He is admired, he's loved, and he's fully expected to become a great wise man himself. Yet, despite being filled with all the teachings of his venerable father and the wise Brahmins, he realizes something troubling. His expecting vessel is simply not full. The sacred verses and offerings, they just aren't enough. His intellect is definitely stimulated, but his soul is not calm.
And this brings us to a haunting, reflective question that the text poses. But where was this self, this innermost part, this ultimate part? It wasn't flesh and bone, and it certainly wasn't mere thought. This question actually mirrors the pedagogical style of the book's study guides. It forces Siddhartha, and honestly us as the readers, to acknowledge that spiritual privilege and inherited knowledge absolutely cannot substitute for personal discovery.
Section 3. Life with the Samanas.
Driven by this burning inner question, Siddhartha makes a really radical choice. Accompanied by his faithful friend Govinda, he leaves his comfortable home entirely behind. They walk deep into the forest and join the wandering ascetics. Stepping into the stark, physically punishing reality of the Samanas, Siddhartha literally gives away his garments. He fasts for up to 28 days at a time. The flesh physically wanes from his cheeks. His goal here is complete and utter self-denial. He wants to empty his mind of all conceptions, to let his ego die, hoping that in this absolute void, the innermost truth of the universe will finally reveal itself.
Let's just contrast these two philosophies he's now experienced. On one side, we have the Brahmin path. This is all about seeking fulfillment through addition, adding learned holy verses, sacred offerings, and spiritual status. On the other side, the Samana path. This is seeking truth through subtraction and escape, voluntary suffering, starvation, and the total denial of the self. Siddhartha practically exhausts both extremes of his society. He masters both of them, and yet he realizes a terrifying truth about the ascetic path.
Listen to the tragedy in this realization. Though the ways led away from the self, their end nevertheless always led back to the self. Escaping the ego through physical pain or deep meditation was only temporary.
It was just an illusion. When the meditation ended, the thirst and the agony of the cycle returned right back to him. He hadn't found salvation at all. He had merely found a temporary anesthetic.
Section 4. Meeting Gautama Buddha.
This profound disillusionment really sets the stage for the philosophical climax of the story. Siddhartha and Govinda start hearing rumors of an exalted one who has actually halted the cycle of rebirths. And when Siddhartha finally sees Gautama, he recognizes his holiness instantly. The Buddha possesses this unwithering calm and an untouchable peace. Every joint of his finger literally breathes of truth. Now Govinda is immediately overwhelmed. He takes his refuge and joins the Buddha's monks on the spot. But Siddhartha makes a shocking, truly radical choice. He recognizes the Buddha's absolute perfection, yet he politely declines to become his student, choosing instead to walk back into the solitary wandering path.
Section 5. The limits of teaching.
So, the crucial point is simply this: nobody will obtain salvation by means of teachings. You might be wondering, why on earth would a seeker of truth walk away from the ultimate teacher? Well, Siddhartha politely explains to the Exalted One that the Buddha's own enlightenment was achieved through his own unique, deeply personal search, not by listening to a doctrine. Siddhartha realizes that words and doctrines, no matter how holy they might be, can only communicate knowledge. They absolutely cannot transfer the actual lived experience of salvation.
And this realization triggers a chilling moment of awakening. Siddhartha suddenly feels the inescapable, isolating flow of personal experience. As he walks away from the Buddha, he feels this sudden cold in his chest. He realizes he's completely alone. He's no longer a Brahmin, he's no longer a Samana, he has literally outgrown all teachers. From this point on, he must discover the pristine source within himself, without a guide, without any safety net, just navigating the turbulent waters of his own life.
Section 6. The Pursuit of Wisdom.
And this brilliantly illustrates the core philosophical distinction Hesse wants us to understand, the difference between wisdom and knowledge. This actually mirrors the purpose of this educational text we're reading. You see, knowledge is comprised of facts, doctrines, and rules. It can be easily communicated and handed down by a teacher or written in a book. But wisdom is fundamentally different. Wisdom is the innermost truth. It must be lived, it must be experienced, and it must be discovered personally through the trials, the failures, and the successes of real life.
Just as the sacred lotus must push its way through the dark mud to blossom into perfection, human wisdom requires the messy, lived experience of the world. And honestly, this is the beautiful irony of this open-source edition of Siddhartha. The editors, Lee and John Giarchi, provide you with incredible tools, indices, historical contexts, study questions, and highly accessible formats. They're giving you the absolute best tools to acquire knowledge about the book. But, much like Gautama Buddha couldn't just hand salvation over to Siddhartha, the editors cannot hand you the wisdom of the text. That acquisition, well, that's entirely up to your own personal journey with the material.
And so, we leave you with this final thought to carry with you today. If true wisdom cannot simply be handed down by a teacher, how will you apply lived experience to your own search for the innermost self? The knowledge is right there on the page, but the wisdom awaits out there in your life. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Until next time, keep seeking.